I think you need to be some level of obsessed in order to succeed in esports.
It was the biggest event we had ever competed at. It was a mix of nervousness and also excitement.
And especially at the international, like nothing comes free.
I was so anxious. I was super stressed out.
You always have to rise to the occasion.
That was a big fucking first year.
If I wasn't gaming, I was originally going to go to university for like aerospace engineering, aeronautical engineering, and then at some point I pivoted into professional gaming.
I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with esports. I would say I'm obsessed with VALORANT. Which, I mean, that does I guess that is kind of being obsessed with esports then, at that point. VALORANT's definitely an interesting game. It's like a love-hate relationship. I think that I started gaming, like my brother probably introduced me to games when I was like 5 or 6.
Well, everyone has like the older brother story, but my mom was the gamer and she always got us like N64, PlayStation, Xbox. My brother introduced me to Counter-Strike when I was 12 or 13.
I dropped out of school due to mental health issues, and esports at that point was definitely part of the reason I got back on my feet. I made a lot of like friends and connections and people that I could lean on.
When I first started playing, there weren't many girls, and there also wasn't really anyone to talk to about it in person. It was very much double life. But the few girls I did meet online, like, I was like holding on to them for dear life. Like, okay, you're gonna be my best friend, like my teammate Alexis.
I started gaming in Counter-Strike, and there was significantly less females in that game than there is in Valorant now.
I think it's been so long that esports has stagnated as just like very white, very male. And like if you were outside of that standard, it was pretty hard to break through. It's kind of sick that Game Changers is actually like starting to change demographics and break barriers.
Game Changers is an initiative aimed at promoting women and marginalized genders in gaming.
I love that Game Changers exists. It's really great for other women who don't have the opportunities that we have, where we can just like queue up and play with guys and like they're nice to us because they know who we are. You do have a safe space where you know you're not gonna get harassed. You're not gonna deal with guys just saying weird stuff to you. So yeah, Game Changers is really open and welcoming in that way.
Hanging out with people and talking to people that know how you feel, it's really nice.
Just hard enough for women in general to compete, and there's a lot of harassment just in public games and stuff like that. So making sure that they have an environment where it's like safe for them to like compete and improve and eventually reach the same leagues as everyone else is very important.
The highs are high, but the lows are low. If you don't have a strong foundation under you, a loss can really like knock the wind out of you, to be honest.
The loss in Berlin, it affected me a lot. I was definitely at my lowest after that.
We had really high expectations going into it. We felt like we had it in the bag. It was gonna be easy.
We're the overdog for Game Changers, so
We're gonna win the tournament.
sorry, now I'm in my cocky era. Losing then, after being the team that was the overdog of the tournament, I mean, humbling is putting it gently.
Not coming second, not coming third, we came fourth was not a pleasant feeling at all.
I think that was single-handedly like the most changing part to my career and how I am as a player. Like without that loss, I'm nowhere near the same person I am today.
We just had to roll with what we were feeling and that we wanted to be the best after that. And you know, we wanted to stop being so overconfident. We wanted to really like just grind and get better and win Game Changers and be Game Changers champions.
When we joined Shopify, we had 1 month to champs. Immediately, it was all hands on deck in terms of support.
It was a bit tough changing org like right before the biggest event of the year. Then Shopify were like really supportive. They sent us to Brazil. They gave us an amazing boot camp. So it was really seamless.
Honestly, I was just excited to play more than anything. And then also Shopify got us first class, so I was chilling.
Brazil is, I mean, the internationals at the end of the year are just why we play.
Game Changers Championship is what every Game Changers player looks forward to and wants to go to. It is a lot of work to be able to make it to the event.
It was the first time for most of us. Mel and Alexis were the only ones that had experienced something like this before.
Didn't know if we were supposed to feel confident, that we were supposed to be like nervous or anything. Getting on stage in Brazil was actually super exciting. It was so much fun getting to play in front of a crowd.
I've never been to an event of that caliber for women in esports. That was my first time. The fans were just so supportive. They were truly nuts.
It's so exciting. Like, the atmosphere is infectious. It's like a high. Every time you play on stage, you just want to go back and play again. It's 100% my highlight of the year, every time.
I'll be back.
The first round we played EDG, and I think it was a really good game to like set the pace for the rest of the tournament. Our second round was against BBL. I would say we all played incredibly well that day. We just won in a quick 2-0 fashion.
First map of the G2 closing game was a hard one, for sure.
Here's the corner, and lands the headshot. Comes in for the defuse.
After we won, it definitely felt like our hardest match might have been behind us, and so we were really confident going into the finals after that.
Getting to the final, we were trying our asses off. I have a chance to have my redemption for what happened in Berlin with Lexi, right? I was so excited, struggling to go to sleep that night.
Well, the morning of the final, I woke up and to about 7 million messages in a group chat about Mel not being able to sleep, Mel feeling sick.
Mel, who I usually lean into a lot, like for confidence, isn't gonna be sitting next to me.
I understood like the gravity of the situation. Like it dawned on me, and then it just hit me it hit me like a truck. I was testing positive for COVID.
Of course, we were gonna have to like have this problem right on the final day, and it was gonna be a nightmare.
Being in the center seat, normally I like feel powered up by the crowd. I feel powered up by my teammates. Having all of that taken away from me, like all the reasons that like drive a competitor to make it to an international, the reason why we play, all of it taken away from me on the grand finals day. It was hard. It was hard.
Sitting down without Mel on stage was definitely rough.
I couldn't fist bump her. She wasn't gonna be there. We could hear in her voice how sick she was.
I was going to an isolated room, so it was actually a different venue from where my team was at. And in that car ride, I'm like, okay, like this is just an obstacle, and you know, I have to rise to the occasion. But you always have to rise to the occasion.
When you're in the game, you're pretty like focused. If you get nervous for maybe the first round,
We put on our Shopify jerseys. At that point, we just knew we had to stay locked in and focused.
The first map ended up going into overtime.
Which was pretty nerve-wracking. If Floor hadn't clutched up like some insane rounds in the first map, we actually would have lost.
And I was feeling pretty good going into the second map. And then we lost the second map.
could not imagine when I got into coaching how stressful it would be. You have no control over what's going on. You hope that your preparation is good, and you just like, we control the effort, and then we don't really control the outcome.
Won the third map, lost the fourth map, and then we're going into grand finals.
It's like, okay, well, this is it. We train an entire year for the next 45 minutes.
Everyone was so like loud and hype, and Floor is going, nice guys, but let's calm down and focus on the next round.
Floor played, I mean, insane that whole tournament. She was just the Terminator. She was the MVP of the whole event.
I remember thinking at 12-6, I was like, oh my god, we're actually doing this right now. We're winning.
The final moment was actually insane. Like, I remember I made a conscious effort, like, remember it.
Honestly, it was a surreal feeling. The crowd was going crazy. Everyone was crying.
In the first 2 seconds, I was crying.
I remember effys like running across the stage, and me and Lexi are hugging him, both crying. Seeing effys after we won was an experience. I think he was pretty proud of us.
Take it in, you know, like, it's a like amazing moment. Like, it was my first year coaching, the first year that most of the girls were playing for real. Like, being there, like, holy shit, like, we took them from this, and we just built this incredible team just from nothing. Felt like amazing, honestly.
I love effys a lot. He's done a lot for us. It was really, really nice to bring him mid-dev.
The crowd, even though they were Brazilian, they were still like, the energy was awesome and everything was great.
But I'd say it's a pretty huge moment in my life.
But it's hard for your heart not to break a little bit when you see Mel kind of, you know, crying by herself.
Mel was projected on the screen behind us also crying, and it's like we couldn't be there to hug her, and she wasn't there to celebrate with us.
Winning It was hard to describe what I felt in that moment. I actually don't think I've felt a crescendo of emotions like that, like ever in my whole life. I get up, I'm screaming, immediately I start crying. Because you get up in that empty room and you start screaming and then you just kind of hear yourself yelling. And then I'm like remembering, oh, like I'm alone.
I think this team is revolutionary because for the first time in sort of the history of esports, young girls have a chance to look up to a team of women and marginalized genders compete at such a high level. That is our top priority at the end of the day, is to kind of break that glass ceiling and you know, develop into co-ed.
Yeah, I would love to play in co-ed. That's honestly like the dream, is to like be a role model for women, to say like, yeah, you can do it, you can play with the guys.
Our goal has never been, let's just be the best women's team we can be. We've always wanted to be the best team we can be, period. I really want to make it my goal this year to win again with my team, put that trophy up with my team, and celebrate with them, most importantly.
I want to win a championship where I can actually hug Mel.
I feel really bad that she didn't get to have that experience the first go around, so hopefully this time we can give her that.
Even though winning felt great, it's still missing something. So hopefully now we can be all 6 of us on stage and like actually like feel the moment all together.
We've been here before, and I'm very confident we can do it again.